Bunny Puppet Part 1. Hello there and welcome back. I just wanted to do this really cute bunny puppet, so it's only going to be a short video this time, but there is a reason that I wanted to do this, because I had the stuff as well. Well, I just wanted to do it. So I'm going to leave him there, and I have my pieces. I have the same pattern I used on him here, and I am just literally going to draw around here. This is double fold, this is fleece material. The reason I'm using fleece is because I found using fur a while ago quite difficult. I just had bits of fluff flying around and everything else like that, and I found it just really difficult to concentrate on what I was supposed to be doing, and not coughing like a dog. And a couple of days later, when I was cleaning my room here, I had a bit of fluff fly past my nose, and I was just, you'd think I was asthmatic the way I was behaving. So I'm going to use fleece, but I think that looks better because you can kind of have a velvet bunny. Now I'm trying to get this up for Easter because this is my last Easter project as well. So that's half of the face, and I have the back of my body 2 times, but what I'm going to do is cut this out and then adjust it to make the front, because I need a smaller piece, a smaller face for the chin, so he's got a little mouth. Lovely. Now I have machine all set up. I've got it on quite a long stitch because some of the parts of this are going to be quite thick, and I also have a scrap of cloth which is just going to line the face so that the back of the eyes don't scratch the hand. Lovely. So all that is an oval, and what I'm going to do is when I sew it, I'm going to sew it to the size I need, so that I'll have, well, more than hem allowance. I'll have just lots of bits. So I've just adjusted the front. I've done a separate line on there, and the most important thing I have to do is I have to do 4 ears. That's just because I'm going to sew them and then I'm going to cut them inside out. Lovely. So that's that. Now all this can go. So I've got a tidy table, which is really my problem today. I want to finish up so many projects because I just feel a bit overwhelmed. I just feel a bit probably buried. Now I coped quite well with the chocolate on the desk. I don't know why, but now I just need to catch up. Okay, so enough of me. First job to do is to sew the body together, leaving a bottom hand bit and the top unsewn. So now, even though I cut this with folded over fabric, it still seems a bit the wrong size. So I'm just going to adjust it with the sewing. I'm not going to wonder why. Now if I was making this bunny out of fur, then what I would do is sew it, and then I would just double check that I'd caught all the sewing on the other side, because in some places, especially when I'm sewing the ears on and everything, it will get quite thick, which is fine. I'm going to get rid of this bobbin. I don't need it at all. I've just got a purple threaded bobbin and it's catching on everything. I'll sort that out later, as long as it's out of the way for now. Lovely, so I'm just coming up the last arm. I can feel where the cloth is underneath, the fleece is underneath. So that's why I'm doing it like that. I think maybe if I'd have folded the pattern in half when I'd drawn it, then maybe that would have been better. Oh, now I've got orange thread everywhere. Okay, I am just going to pull this through. I'm using quite cheap thread today, just because it's just the perfect colour, but I do find it breaks quite easily, and sometimes I can see a knot coming from the reel going down as well. But normally these rolls, they're very good. I just think this one not so much. So all I'm doing is simple shape around the ear. I'm going to force my machine to keep on sewing and doing this one. And I need to turn these ears inside out. Lovely. Last bit. And then this is the face, and I'm going to sew along that side so that I can move on to that part of the sew. And sometimes it is a bit like a jigsaw, you know, even with a very simple thing like this, where you've only got a few pieces. So lovely. It's my last one. So, as we know, bunnies have 2 ears and 2 eyes. So we're going to put in some fake glass eyes. Now these are quite old ones. I don't think you can buy them with the metal backs anymore because of safety. The ones that were sold before that had points on where you could just push them through. But, you know, it's I think it would be silly of me to rush down to the shops and buy new eyes when I have perfect ones already. So we need them sort of 3/4 of the way down, and we don't want them too close together, and we don't want them too far apart. So it is just a matter of lining them up. I can mark where the eyes should go on the pattern, but it's it has to be done, doesn't it? Okay, so there's my eyes. Sometimes they go on really easily, like the first one, and sometimes they don't. Now, I'm sure there's a trick, but I don't know it. So there we go, we have the face. And what I need to do now is I need to sew the back bit on so that it's nice and soft against the back of your hand when you're using it. There we go. Now I'm doing this quite close to the edge. This is just because I don't want any stitches to show through. And I didn't cut the backing to size, I just didn't. I think it would be quite a complicated maths equation to work out the exact size of that pattern. What I will do though is I will draw around this now so that the pattern is correct for you. I just draw it in the middle, that would work. Now if you have some stuffing, a tiny bit of stuffing in there would be a really good idea. and that would just give his face a little bit of fullness. Obviously, it's not important, and if you don't have any spare calico, then you could quite easily just use another piece of fleece, because if I'm using leftovers, I don't think you can buy it in any smaller denominations than 1/4 metre, so I know that you will actually have some. So I've just roughly drawn around the piece of what size the calico would be. Now, turning the ears inside out. Oh, this might be hard for me, so do bear with me. And I do have some blunt-ended scissors, so I can use them just to push through. But once it's got started, it's not too bad. Now I'm going for a white bunny for Easter. Yes, bunnies are not for Easter. Yes, I do have a giant rabbit, and I will show you her soon. She's looking really manky at the minute because she's molting. Now, I not only have to feed her and clean her out, which is not too much of a difficulty, but at the moment she requires half an hour grooming, I know, every day, and sometimes she really doesn't want to be groomed. So, yes, do think before you buy a rabbit what is actually involved. Oh, and because she's giant, which I didn't know when I bought her, she requires like a special hutch. I couldn't buy one off the shop because it wouldn't have been big enough, so yes. But she's lovely. Okay, so I've got all my bits ready. I'm going to embroider a nose rather than put one on. Now the easiest way to do this is to turn this the right, make sure this is the right way round, and insert it inside, because basically I'm sewing the front of the puppet to the bottom of the jaw, and I'm sewing the top to the top of the head. And in here I also have to insert my ears. So I'm going to put that in there so it's in place. I'm going to use a pin to mark the top of my head, and I can either pin in my ear, or I can, when I get closer, I suppose bunny rabbits are quite distinctive, aren't they? But make his ears the same size. So yes, when I get closer, I'm then going to insert the ears. But I'm going to make use of the sewing machine being like a third hand for me. So I've put the needle down, I'm going to remove that pin, and I'm going to push the ear pretty much under the foot, but I'm going to make sure that I've still got the bottom of the fabric and I've still got the top of the fabric. I've lowered the foot because if I don't lower the foot, then it releases the bobbin and it just won't sew properly. So the machine's going over this fine, it really is, although I'm going nice and slowly. You have to consider that I'm going through 2 layers of fleece and then another 2 layers of fleece, but these seam bits are even more. So I've come from another centimetre from the top point where my pin was, so I'm now ready to put the other ear under the foot. Okay, and I'm going to move that round there. So while I've stopped, I'm then going to make sure that I've got markers in so that I don't have a lopsided face. I think a little bit of character is good, but a lot of character would make him look really silly. Okay, so I'm just going over the ear now. Another tricky bit is the corner of the arm. So I've got my arm sticking out there, and I'm sewing till I've caught the front. Then I'm going to push that out of the way then I can literally sew down to the jaw. Okay, coming up to my pin, so I can remove that now because I know I haven't pushed the fabric out of the way, and is that going to happen, you know? It really can. So I'm going to leave my needle down, I'm going to pick it up and make sure that I'm not catching anything at the back, and just adjust it all so that I know that I'm sewing all 3 layers. I think I might have unthreaded the needle then. I did. Okay. Yeah, because I put my foot down quite quickly, it just snagged the thread. It pulled it up too fast away, so bear with me. I don't really want to pause the camera, although I might have to, because I'm not very good at threading needles. Well, I am, but I'm not very good at threading needles on camera, so I think it's a special skill set. That's not going to happen. Sorry, I'm going to pause you. Hiya. So I've re-threaded my machine, and I lied, it wasn't my fault, the bobbin had run out. So in a way it was my fault. So I'm just literally going back to where I finished sewing before. And making sure that everything's all tucked in. Okay, so I'm just going over the face bit at the minute, and then I'm just coming up to the end of, well, I'm going to say the end of the sew. It's literally the end of the face, so I need to make sure that I have caught the front of the puppet and the back of the puppet. Now, because I didn't tidy my ends or anything, I do have the old ends, and what that snap was literally, I had my previous bobbin thread caught around my foot, and that is just going everywhere. Okay, so the moment of truth. Oh, I have 2 bunnies now. Now I do need to just sew on his whiskers with embroidery thread and a couple of stitches for his nose, and I am going to run round the bottom and just do a little seam for him. So let's get him out. There are a couple of loose threads as well. So there we are. We have a little bunny puppet. I know. Hello. Okay, thank you ever so much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed it.